Earlier on the program, we tried to recapture some of the momentous events of the past week in Okuama, Delta State, a small community that has now been left almost desolate, weighed down by unimaginable sorrow, and disconsolately bearing the brunt and consequences of the indiscretion of a few misguided elements. The tragic assault on men of Nigeria's armed forces has been severally described as unmitigated madness and a sick joke taken too far. The indiscriminate and disproportionate response to the killing of those 17 soldiers has also been roundly condemned by all men of goodwill here in Nigeria and beyond. As we continue to follow that story, we're now being joined here by two gentlemen, both indigents of Delta State. Sir Kenny Okolugbo is a politician, public affairs analyst, and one-time commissioner for Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, DESOPADEC for short. Sir Kenny is being joined by Mathew Ogagavworia, a chartered accountant and president, Atamu Social Club of Nigeria, Lagos, a group of robo professionals here in Lagos. Good to have you gentlemen with us. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Glad to be in your presence this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, I think we should allow Sir Okolugbo to start first, given that you are in Abuja. I hope you can hear me very clearly. Sir
I
Kenny?
can hear you very well, Steve.
All right, fantastic. So it's been
Yes, I can hear you very well.
All right,
yes.
thank you, thank you. All right, it's been 1 week since that horrendous act happened in Okuama. And we've heard so many things from the president to the CDS to the governor of Delta State, Ogagavworia. Practically everybody has had something to say. It doesn't look like we're close to what the truth ought to be in terms of the magnitude of what happened, how many people have died, what has been destroyed. How much do you know at this point? And what do you think that the government may not be doing right that can take the citizens closer to the truth?
Well, thank you, Steve, for having me. Let me first of all thank you for always promoting me. The other time, Oji made me the governorship candidate when I was a House of Rep candidate. Maybe something good is coming my way.
Claim it,
Yes, I've claimed it, and I'm sure the news is coming anytime soon. Maybe I should have allowed you correct it. Don't mind me. Well, looking at the insights of what has happened in Okuama and Okoloba, I will say that the Delta State government should have been more proactive. Why do I say this? I remember in January, maybe some of you didn't follow that story. There were 3 Okuama youths that were killed, Ego, Mishak, some Power, Awusa, and Okemute David. And they were said to be criminals, but the Okuama people said the Okoloba people were actually the ones that killed them, and they also killed their speedboat driver. But Delta State government actually called the parties, that is the Okoloba. The Okoloba is in Bomadi local government area, and Okuama is in Ueli South. And they signed a peace agreement on the 7th of February. But there should have been a follow-up, because that is where the special advisor on conflict resolution to the governor and the special advisor on security would have done a follow-up on the crisis, because there were counter-accusations from February 20th after the signing of the peace accord of saying that the Okuama people were doing stop and search to try to get the Okoloba people, the ones coming from the Okwagbe market. The Okoloba people were saying the same thing, and it culminated into the kidnap of some guy called Pika Sipomene on the 5th of March. And it was quite reported because the chairman of the both local governments were leaving because their terms were up on the 8th of March. And you know, there's nothing like when you have the chairman, no matter what, they're supposed to be the chief security officers of their local governments. So there definitely was a lacuna, because that body that they eventually found, which was said to be the one of the Pika Sipomene, was found on the 9th of March floating in the Focados River. But this chairman had handed over on the 8th of March. And so the tensions escalated, which was why there must have been more proactive actions to have been taken by these special advisors to the governor, who could have actually briefed the governor that this peace accord that we have signed it's not being respected. And then there was another accusation that an Ogagavworia was actually also kidnapped by the same Abo, I think Antonio Abo, or that's what his name was, by the same Okuama people who had earlier said 3 of their people had died. And there was also this allegation that one of the speedboats recovered by the Okoloba people were taken to the Bomadi police station. So in all this, it can be said that they were not in the public level because these were stories that were coming from the press. What was the Delta State Police Commissioner doing at that material point in time when this boat was recovered with arms and ammunition and was taken to the Bomadi police station? They say that the Okoloba and the Okuama community are under the Otu Jeremy police station. What was the investigation that was done by the police commissioner? It is not just about the fact that it is very sad, very barbaric, the killing of the 17 officers. If there was policemen deployed, which is what should have been done to create a buffer, maybe there would have been no need for them to have the army intervene or come to Okuama to ask for the release of the Antonio Abo, as was alleged, because his brother had made a case at the 181 Amphibious Division in Bomadi, and when they held back those soldiers, the other group of soldiers came to release them, and that was when they were ambushed. So there should have been a more proactive approach, and it was obvious that the 2 local government chairmen, their absence, did tell a lot on the crisis escalating. And a commission of inquiry is needed to actually unravel, because if you don't tell this crisis have been on, it's been before Borewori's government, so it wasn't like it was about Borewori. Yes, he was proactive in signing the peace accord on the 7th of February, but after the 7th of February, there was no follow-up when the tensions escalated, and that was what led us to this unfortunate situation we actually found ourselves.
Thank you. But I'd like to bring it to the studio and ask you the next question, Mr. Mathew. I mean, we did hear the statement put out by the Senate President making reference to mercenaries who may have been the ones that have come in to commit this outrageous crime against this military personnel. I'd like to know what your thoughts are about that statement.
To be very frank with you, there are a lot of possibilities on what happened at Okuama. Permit me to condole with the families of our fallen heroes, members of the Nigerian military that suffered the gruesome death allegedly in Okuama. And while we do that, we also condole with the Nigerian state for loss of his men. It's a sad one that soldiers who are supposed to protect us have had to suffer such fate in the hands of civilians. Something certainly is not right. Narrowing down to the question you just asked, there have been several versions of what transpired in Okuama. Some have it that the soldiers came on a peace mission. While they were at the town hall, they were received, in the normal Urubo culture of receiving guests. Were entertained. That trouble broke out where they demanded to arrest the community chairman and a few of the leaders. And then the soldiers suddenly became violent. There are several stories that are planted in the media. I think it's to mask the real intent of wiping out that generation of officers. I align with the Senate President's thinking that a 5th columnist, outside those we believe may necessarily be the people that are behind the killing of those gentlemen. For all you know, the story says, the army says they were ambushed. By who? At what point? Is it after they left the peace meeting and then they're on their way? For that number of men to die in that one fell swoop, somebody took pain to plant men who would take all of them out. So it's not something that could just happen spontaneously, that the soldiers became violent, insisting on arresting their leader and then the youths. Who are the youth? That level of ammunition that can take that without not one surviving has been planned before now. So there are more to it than me and you have read in the media. I believe strongly that the stories that are planted in the media they are decoys to mislead us from unraveling the real truth behind it.
What could the real truth be?
There's hardly any way you can take out the presence of oil and oil assets in the Delta. Can a normal youth have that level of ammunition to take on trained Nigerian soldiers? The Colonel Ali is said to have fought in Boko Haram. So he's a combat soldier who understands the rules of the game in such conflict, situation. He's not a man you can just gone overnight like that. So I suspect that a criminal gang more sophisticated than the basic. In fact, let me shock you. The average Ijaws in that riverine area, there is either the father is Yoruba or the mother is Ijaw. That is how closely knit we have always been in peace in that region. So I doubt that something is not right. Whatever we are reading in the media are meant to take us away from who the real killers are and their motive for doing so.
All right.
Okay. So I would like to ask Mr. Okolugbo in Abuja, because we've spoken about the previous issues that were occurring between the Okuama community and the Okoloba community in that region. I would like you to basically explain what is the crux of this tension that was going on between the communities. Is it the presence of oil, like we have heard previously? Is it the presence of maybe bunkering or insecurity? Or are these land disputes? Are these more communal disputes that are more historical? So I don't know if you can hear me, sir.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I would like to know.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, the fact of the matter is I said to be a land that is not even up to 1 acre, because I happen to be close to some of the actors who are there, who know so much about the crisis. And they gave me details that this land is not even up to 1 acre. And that land has been one that has been disputed between the Okoloba people, because there is this, they all believe they come from Maine, which is their progenitor. And the Okoloba people have always seen the Okuama people as settlers in the Forcados River. And the land is not one that should ordinarily lead to this crisis. But certainly, there was more to this crisis, because if you see the way they were killed, just like the question that was earlier asked, the Senate president was not far from the truth. The boats that was even sent to the Pomadi police station were said to have been used by mercenaries. And the particular individual that they say that is behind this attack have always been said to work with mercenaries that they refer to endurance or so, is one who knows the terrain and who knows what has been going on. And it has been said that there has been undercurrent issues between these people and these soldiers as regards oil bunkering. So they took advantage of that visit and the accusation and counter-accusation that they had come to intervene in the land matters. Maybe they tried to accuse them that they were biased of it, and that is exactly why they carried out the barbaric act. And I don't think, from what I have been told and from what I know, I don't think the Okuama youths have the capacity to even kill 1 soldier. How much more killing 17 soldiers? And when you're looking at it, you're talking about a lieutenant colonel, 2 majors, a captain, and 12 rank and file. It's not something that can just be done. Even when we talked about Odi massacre, it was 12 policemen. First, they killed the 7 and they killed 5 before the soldiers came in. It has never been in this fell swoop. It is actually though unfortunate that Governor Burewere is having to deal with this kind of security challenge at the time he's getting to 1 year in his office. We do sympathize with him, and we actually hope that he will rise above this and get focused on providing the critical infrastructure in that area, Warrior most especially, which was neglected by his predecessor in office, and so many others that he would ordinarily would have been focused on, but certainly has been drawn back with this crisis because if a commission of inquiry is put in place, all eyes are on that commission of inquiry, which is going to take his attention. But it is very important that that commission of inquiry is put in place so that we can know exactly what transpired on the 14th of March. Because who actually gave the instructions? Who ordered? We have the JTF being led by Rear Admiral Okeke. Was he aware that the amphibious a lieutenant colonel is junior to a rear admiral? Was he aware, because they're supposed to be under one defense command, was he aware that Lieutenant Colonel Ali was actually going on that mission after the first set of soldiers were held back? Those are the questions that we need to unravel. What was the circumstances? These are many questions that have been left unanswered, which only an unbiased commission of inquiry would answer at this material point in time. And don't forget that their guns have not been recovered. All their guns have not been recovered, which is another very big slight on the military.
All right, Sir Kenny, let's stay with you just a bit more, but clearly to discuss what the army is saying about the fact that they know who perpetrated this act and that they are taking the fight more or less, to Bayelsa. When the army talks in that manner, do you think that they know what we don't know, or they are following a particular lead that might not actually be the real thing? Given the fact that the army says they are the ones prosecuting what has happened. You are calling for a commission of inquiry, but the army says that we are on top of this and we will get the man that we know, was behind it. Do you think that this is the right way to approach it?
That's why an independent commission of inquiry will unravel the truth. But for now, the fact that they say they know who has the capacity. Like I said, I don't think the Okuama youths had the capacity to carry out such an act. And this endurance also that has been fingered has been said to be one who has the capacity. His mother is said to be from Igbomoturu, that is the jaw axis of Bayelsa, and his father is said to be from Okuama. And if they say they know, they certainly would have had their intelligence. That is why they carried out the operations in the Igbomoturu community in Bayelsa. But what we can say is that at this material point in time, they should let independent journalists visit Okuama. They can't continue to condone off the whole of Okuama. It is crystal clear now that there are no militants or terrorists in Okuama. People are said to be in the bush, women, aged women, young boys who are out of school now. Some might not have what to eat. Some might not have what to drink. So they should allow an independent investigation at this point by allowing journalists into Okuama so that all the stories that are being posted in the social media can be put to rest, that they have not raised down the entire community. Much as we condemn the killing of the 17 soldiers, we shouldn't allow innocent people suffer, just like what the governor of Delta State did assure when he visited the president. It is again very sad that some traditional rulers have been accused of harboring some of these, which was why the governor sent a warning to the traditional rulers that whoever harbors any of these people will be made to bear the consequences. It is the humanitarian crisis that will come after then that does worry me, and that's why I'm saying that there should be a special and independent commission of inquiry. The army cannot be a judge in its own case. I have posed that question, that was the JTF commander aware? Because you must go with speedboats. You can't go with speedboats. From the account they gave, the military boys went with speedboats, hired speedboats. If they had gone with the gunboats belonging to the Nigerian Navy, I don't think it would have been easy to mow them down as they mowed them down. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So these are the only what an independent commission of inquiry can actually unravel, and not one that the army will be a judge in its own case. But going after the suspect should be one that should be done decisively. That there should be no question to that.
All right.
I mean, at this point, you start to wonder, like you've made reference to the fact that till now, journalists have not been allowed to even make their way into the community. And I want to bring it back into the studio. How your thoughts on how the military, Mr. Mathew, the military has responded to the allegations of collateral damage and innocent casualties during this operation to apprehend the suspects in Okuama and even outside of the community, and the assurances that they've even provided to the public. At this point, should the Nigerian police force be allowed to to step in and maybe take over at this point, Mr. Mathew?
The military has overstayed its time in Okuama. The people saddled with the responsibility for investigation is actually members of the Nigerian police. As of today, if the military don't have something to hide, they would have allowed at least humanitarian support to those who have been displaced by their presence. Whatever we read in the media, we will believe them until proven otherwise. That Okuama is being burned down by the military. We believe it until otherwise. As of today, we're not aware that they have allowed civilians to go in. At least we're told the governor tried to access the Okuama. He was stopped by the same military. Ordinarily, the governor should be the chief security officer of the state. So, if we really have a democracy, if we really have respect for human lives, for over 1 week, the military have occupied Okuama to the chagrin of all lovers of peace and justice. Yes, we condole with the men who have lost their lives, the soldiers, but we cannot also discountenance the stories that Okuama is being raised down in retaliation of the loss of men by the Nigerian military.
But they have denied that.
They cannot. That denial is only until proven otherwise. As of today, the victims have been unable to come and say, "I am alive. See me here."
So are
because
you saying that the army is guilty until proven innocent?
as of today, until independent people are able to access what Okuama is after the invasion by the Nigerian army, we cannot take a word from the Nigerian military as to the state of the sleepy, innocent community of Okuama. We cannot.
But you know that the president gave them express permission
That president
to go after.
order is a go and kill.
That's,
Let me tell you,
that's your reading of what the president said.
that is what somebody can interpret it.
Who?
Any serious analyst will say, go and fish out the killers. Could be given a different interpretation. Just go. In that case, the logic of deterrence that punish the guilty and innocent is sadly bastardized. It is not acceptable in 2024 Nigeria, where the military now becomes the prosecutor and judge in a matter involving them. The call for independent panel of inquiry to look into the immediate and remote cause. And there are other socio-economic issues that are tied to what we see. Okuama just represent how low Nigeria has sunk. For a people, in fact, if Nigeria had intelligence, let us even leave issue of oil, oil theft or illegal bunkering that one can easily look at as a reason why we lost those men. If Nigeria had intelligence, it can never ever happen. If we had the intelligence, it cannot even happen that that level of officers would be sent and some mercenaries could get all of them at once. Something is fundamentally wrong with our current security arrangement that we have in the Delta.
Okay, Mr. Ogagavworia, you represent a Delta club in Lagos, with well-meaning individuals who have ties, who have interests, who have investment in Delta State. What is the thinking of many Deltans outside of base everywhere? That's one. And secondly, are you thinking along the line that if that community or those communities, I'm talking of Okuama and Okoloba, etc., if they have not allowed disunity, enmity, infighting, in between them, we wouldn't have gotten to this level where it looks like a community will now be raised down almost to the point of obliteration.
It's sad, like I mentioned earlier, that the Jaws and the Urobus, they are kith and kin. Beyond we are neighbors, we are also brothers and sisters, husband and wives. In fact, it's even said that if you are an Ijaw king and your mother is not from Urobo, something is wrong with your ancestry. That will tell you that these are people we have lived together, either we are wives to them or they are fathers to us. So there is that closeness in peace all these years. These incidents are things that happened between 2011 and today. These are recent events that the average Ijaw man and Roman, we have always lived in peace. So if you still go back to, I think the government has done several things wrong. We had amnesty, which was meant to mop up light weapons from the environment. But from what some of us hear from the grapevine, the amount of ammunition that is still in that zone, in wrong hands, are just too much. Too much.
What can be done? What will be your message to the different layers of government? Because there are local governments and chairmen there. There are community leaders. The governor has his own role. Before we now go to the president, who gave an order to say go and fish out the perpetrators. The main work comes with the federal government of Nigeria because they control the military. Two, is the same federal government of Nigeria that controls the oil wealth, which even if you are taking oil in the next community, all that community within the environment is impacted. So the average youth there is cannot even fish conveniently. The Ogoni issue is highlighted because the Ogoni is cried. The people in the Delta suffer more environmental degradation resulting from oil mining activity. Each time somebody breaches a crude oil tank that supplies oil for export, those oils spill into the same rivers that the locals fish or farm. Just that our people are not so vocal, our people are peaceful. You don't get that national attention. Federal government has to have a program. Yes, we have some intervention agency to take care of data. But to what extent have they really addressed the socio-economic issue of sustenance of livelihood as of today? NDDC, for example.
At least, I know if you travel between Warri and Port Harcourt today, you will still see how much has achieved. The road is still more than half of it is still earth road. Yeah. It's been washed off. So, and that environment produce the foreign exchange that sustains the entire apparatus of government, including Abuja.
Yes. Can we take it to Mr. Okolugbo in Abuja? Because we have spoken about how the federal government does control the purse. They do get the oil wealth. They do control the army. And importantly, they do control police, which are supposed to be in charge of the law and order that happens internally. I would like to ask you, sir, what are your thoughts about state police? Because this is something that has come up in the news over and over again. Do you believe that communities in the Niger Delta would be more secure if there was actual state police and if state governors or local governments had more control over their own security apparatus?
Oh, yes, I definitely would support state policing because, like I said adequately before now, the local government chairman handed over on the 8th of March. Why they've been kidnapping? I mean, the crisis, first of all, between Okoloba and Okuama did not just start today. I gave a trajectory from January till the unfortunate incident happened, all the issues that had taken place. So that would tell you that there were people who were on top of their games. I'm not saying that they were 100%, but why was it that it was after the local government chairman left that these unfortunate incidents happened? Those are the questions that the Delta State governor would also have to ask himself, that there must have been a lacuna because there are certain things the head of personnel management will not do. So it tells you that if they were state police, the state police would have been able to, they know their locality. Look at the military people that died. They were basically northerners. They don't know the terrain. They don't know the attitude of the people. They don't know. There was lack of intelligence. You can actually have intelligence when you have locals who are policing. Yes, there's been said that governors will abuse state police. They'll use it after their opponents. But we can't continue on that trajectory saying, oh, because the governors are going to abuse state police, then we cannot go into state policing. We can actually do it like the way they do it in the United States of America, where we have the federal police overseeing the state police. The state police will still be under the federal police, but the state police will have powers to actually arrest, actually investigate. And when you are not satisfied, maybe you can take the matter to the federal police. But there should be a sense of enforcement, because there was no presence of police. If that body, when that body floated, P.R. Zipomene, on the night of March, there was state police, or there were people who were on the Okuama side and the Okoloba side, it would not have escalated to what it did escalate to. And like we rightly said, there was suspicion among the commander of the 181 Amphibious command, because he was said to have been dealing a lot with the oil bunkering that had been going on within that hemisphere. And so the militants who are profiting from oil bunkering already had him targeted. And so they saw it as an excuse to have attacked and killed them. But I mean, not only killing them, but decapitating their bodies was terrible. So look, Amuteku, for example, you've seen the success of Amuteku in the Southwest. And so it cannot be overemphasized that we should, but it's the National Assembly that should start the state policing, certainly not the National Economic Council or the states themselves. That's what I think.
All right, then. If you just want to touch on that very quickly, responding to your thoughts on state policing very quickly as we begin to wrap up.
And what can be done,
and what
just
can be done
in a few seconds before we go.
Yeah, I support the idea of state policing. For the reason is that the state will likely recruit people that understand the terrain. Just as you will get worried that state governor can use the police against his opponent, federal government controls the federal police. To what extent has the federal government been able to use the police at that federal level to also pursue their opponents at the national level? The same thing. If we did not have that fear that the president can abuse the Nigerian police, why should we have that fear that the governor will also abuse his own state police? So it is time for Nigeria to have state police that would have knowledge about the environment that they operate in. It will help to reduce these incidents of shock that we are all still trying to recover from.
Then.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate your time. Mr. Kenny Olugbo joining us from Abuja, and of course in the studio with us, Mathew Ogagavworia.
Kenny Okolugbo, actually.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time and analysis.